Good morning and welcome to Morning Moments. Today is a day of a special guest. I have a special guest online and is a friend that I've known for a number of years. I knew her before she was a doctor, Dr. Keed
Kinsick.
Okinczyc. I knew I was going to mess it up. I knew, and I did. I messed it up. Okinczyc. There you go, Dr. Okinczyc. But I just know her as Irene. And so it's been really good connecting with her. And I want to introduce Irene to you. And Irene, tell everybody how we got to know each other.
We met each other in Petoskey 20 years ago, believe it or not, or more. It's been longer than
About
that.
30 years,
And
probably. Right?
yeah, yeah.
Oh.
And we went to the same church, which was really exciting. It was beautiful. We had children about the same age. You were doing children's ministry, and so it was really good. Your wife is wonderful. Your kids are awesome, and my kids thought your kids were fabulous, and it was really good. Our families were, played and worked together, I guess.
It's so good to reconnect with people that we've known 20, 30 years ago. And then as you speed forward, there's different, as I mentioned a lot of times in Morning Moments, the different chapters of our life. Our chapter of our life back then had different people involved in it, and some of those people are with us and some are not. And but since then you have ended up not only you were a respiratory therapist and became a
Yeah.
registered nurse, and then you had several other degrees that you had afterwards, and God has really blessed you. And tell us a little bit about your background, and please share with us a story that you were sharing me about an orange and Florence Nightingale. I love that story.
I know one of my backgrounds is I used to teach nursing theory. I love nursing theory. Our foundation is Florence Nightingale. And with her, she's a theorist. And back in the 1800s, she taught us to wash our hands, which is amazing. And we still practice that theory today. If we don't wash our hands, the hospital will close. And I can tell you that. So I appreciate her. And she was a Christian too, which was amazing. During the Crimean War, she went down to help the soldiers, and the soldiers' ages went from 14 years old on up. And they didn't have hospitals back then. Instead, they had cots, which were out in a field. And they'd line up the cot in it's a cot with a blanket. And they put one after another, after another, after another. And I know one of the sergeants came to to Florence and said, "Okay, I have a head soldier down there, and he needs help. Go to him first." And she just nodded her head and walked away from him. And she went to the next patient that was right there, not to the head person, not to the soldier that he felt was more important. She took each patient and went from patient to patient. And they would be crying. They'd be crying for their mother. And they'd be crying out, calling their moms, crying for their mom. And she would have an orange that was in her pocket, and she'd take the outer skin off the orange, and she'd peel off a piece, and she'd put it in the patient's mouth. And so the patient would suck on the orange, and the crying would stop. And unfortunately, they would die because they didn't have what they have now, and not being in a hospital. And she went from patient to patient to patient. And she would do that. The patient lineup would be as far as 4 miles long. And she'd go all the way down to the end. She was known as the nurse with the light. And then she'd lay on a cot and she'd sleep. And then she'd wake up the next morning, go all the way back. And so it's amazing to see that she would go and do this. And for me, I think of Florence Nightingale, and you think about the orange. And so I created a thing called a Florange. It's an orange in Florence. And when somebody did wherever I worked, then I would look at employees that would do something extra special for someone else, or do something for a patient. And when they did something extra, during our department meetings, we would give out a Florange, and we give them an orange, which signified that they did something extra. And And it's amazing how people, it just brought so much, oh, the staff loved it. They just felt so happy when they received one. They felt special, and it really improved as far as staff, um, satisfaction. And so it's a really positive thing to do. Plus, to look back and see that the person who founded nursing, the the art of nursing, gave out oranges to people. So anyway, that's what I brought to the table here. Sorry.
No, that's great. And you know what I was thinking, that with all the technology that
Oh
nurses deal
yeah.
with today now, and when I go into hospitals today and I see all the machinery and the IV pumps and things, that was the technology wasn't there when I was in school, and it's just highly tech world. It still comes down to the nurse showing the patient, I really care for you. And
Mhm.
sometimes even today, the last thing that they see is that smile of the nurse. And I've often said that the first breath that you take and the last breath that you take, there's usually the heartbeat of a nurse close by you.
Yep.
and
Amen.
and they're there to be able to help you. And when I hear stories like that, and I think of what we've done over and over again to be able to help our profession as nurses, and which in turn helps out humans, it helps out people. And thank you for the work that you've done for all these years and educating other nurses and also leading other nurses, and I do appreciate that.
And I do have to say one more thing. The people who receive the orange, I mean, you would not believe how happy they are, and they
Yeah.
really feel special because they'll take their orange next to where they're sitting or the chart, and they'll put it right there next to the chart, and they'll look at everybody else like, you know what? I got a Florange.
Yeah.
Did you?
Well, who knows? Maybe this will catch on, and you'll get
I think
Floranges.
so.
The Floranges, all, and you could be the founder of the Florange. Like,
That's
think of
what I
that.
am.
That's there you go. You're the founder of the Florange. Irene, it has been a delight getting caught up
Thank
with
you.
you and talking about our kids and our grandkids, and how
Yeah.
life has changed and gone with different directions with both of us. But it's so nice to get together, and I wish you the best. And maybe I'll see you again here in Morning Moments sometime.
Thank you. God bless.
And thank you for joining me for more Morning Moments. And if you've enjoyed this, please take it and share it on your site. I'm also going to put it on YouTube and share it on YouTube. Share it with a friend. And thank you for coming to Morning Moments. And I will see you all again tomorrow. Have a good day.